my microphone and my camera were not working. But here I am now. So nice to meet you and thank you for your patience. We can start now. So my name is Valentine Lavie. I'm the CMO and the product owner of Tiny MDM. So Tiny MDM, I'll just give you a quick history, even if it's not exactly the subject today. So it was created on a very simple observation at the beginning of 2012. We were back then specialized in parental control, so we were managing devices, but for families. And we had more and more requests from SMBs and even big companies who were looking for an MDM solution, who were looking to manage mobile devices in their company, but who couldn't find a solution that fitted their need. And by asking around, we found that existing MDM solution didn't cover all the requirements for small companies. This is because small companies have a real need to manage their devices with a very small budget and in a very simple way. No matter of their age, their size, or the field of their company. But they were mainly faced with MDM giants that have a huge number of features, but also were very complex to use and often quite expensive. But we'll talk about this later in this webinar. So today we will see the agenda, so the key figures of mobility in the workspace. Then we will focus on SMBs. We'll see what are the risks associated with unmanaged device, what benefits for SMBs there are in using an MDM. And then if you choose to use an MDM or if you are using an MDM in your company, we'll see how to get your team to accept the MDM, because we'll see that we have to communicate with the team and make them aware that you are working together in order to protect business data. So mobility in the workspace today. So as I was saying, there is a lot of different usage and a lot of different companies and different fields that are using MDM solution. In any case, that are using mobile devices. So, for example, we have customers in the healthcare center that are providing tablets to the nurses, the doctors, or providing tablet to isolated patients, especially with the COVID-19 situation. We have customers putting tablets at the entrance of shops or restaurants for customer to use. We have companies providing tablets to their truck drivers or to their maintenance workers, any type of use, really. So there is a difference. There is a clear difference between using phones and tablets within your company and defining a mobile strategy to manage them. And that's in this gap that all the security breaches and all the productivity hiccup come in. So businesses really need to ensure that all the application and data are safe on any device used to work no matter if it's a corporate device belonging to the company or if it's a personal device, but also used to work or to access some professional data. Did you know 3.8 billion users of smartphone worldwide? So this is almost half of the population. That's a study published in 2019 that had estimated this number for 2021, and indeed it has been confirmed. 36% of employees are using their personal device to access professional data in a totally unsecured way, so not managed at all. And 43% of the global workforce is expected to work on mobile devices by 2022. By the way, a huge majority of multinational leaders confirm that enterprises which are not investing in a more mobile device strategy will be clearly disadvantaged from their competitor. So you will see all the source of the studies that we use here. You will see everything at the end, and you will also receive it by email. So now a little quiz. Guess how many companies depend on their employees' ability to access business data from their own smartphone. So you will see on the right side of your screen a little quiz popping up. So that's your turn to answer. So according to you, globally, what percentage of companies really rely on their employees' ability to access professional data? So I have one answer here that is emerging. Okay, so everyone seems to be answering this. Okay. So according to most of you, it's 30 to 60%. So no, the answer is more than 90%. Indeed, 9 out of 10 companies really depend on their employees to access their work data from their personal device from time to time. And it's the same number for small companies and for large companies. The percentage it's the same. So it's really more than 90%, which is quite astonishing. So now the risk the risk linked to mobility in SMBs, the challenges of mobilities. So what we can see here is that the biggest challenges related to mobility in SMBs is that 54% of them have already suffered from a security breach involving a sensitive customer or sensitive employee information via a mobile device. And in half of those cases, a careless employee was at fault. The second number that we see emerging as well for SMB is that 68% of them, in 68% of them, there is no password security policy for accessing those mobile devices. So I'm not sure we can call it a coincidence. Um, Indeed, if employees have not been educated or made aware that the risk they could cause using unmanaged devices, the risk it could have for their company, um, they won't guess it by their own. They are not especially aware of it. Um, Whereas it can be a real disaster for a company. So what obstacles are facing the SMBs? First is the limited IT security, and second, the lack of budget. We all know that SMBs are faced with limited resources. Um, they are ranging from budget constraints and a lack of time or skills in the MDM field. So here, before I give you the numbers, we're going to do a little survey to see how is it going in your company. So here, a first poll. You will see a first poll on the right. Who amongst you has a dedicated IT security team or a dedicated IT person working full time just to manage Android devices or computers or whatever? Yeah, so everyone is answering no here, and this is normal. That's the number that we have as well. In a report from 2018, we know that less than a third of SMBs have a dedicated IT team. So it's very little, but it's quite normal, and it totally explains why SMBs have no visibility into the password policy used by their employees. And the second question, second poll, is about the budget. So what budget do you spend on IT security every year? So is it less than $1,000, less than 5,000, or more than 5,000? So we'll just wait for everyone to answer. Yes, same. Everyone seems to be answering the same question, the same answer. So less than 5,000, yeah. So in terms of budget, half of the SMBs surveyed say that budget is the only obstacle they face in implementing mobile security. So 25% of SMEs have less than $5,000. So that's what you all answered here. And 25% of them has less than $1,000. So the risk associated with unmanaged device in the company. The first one is theft or loss. So 70 millions of smartphones approximately are lost every year. And in 8 out of 10 cases, an attempt to access confidential information happened. So that's a huge risk. Unsecured Wi-Fi network. Most attacks are made through unsecured Wi-Fi networks, such as public Wi-Fi. So it can be attacks like ransomware or malware. It can be as well some data leaks. Malicious apps. On the Play Store, there are approximately 3 million of malicious apps and 8 million with a risky behavior. If a malicious app is downloaded on the device, then it can access all the data of the tablet or of the smartphone. So it's as well a big risk. Inappropriate content. So that can be either the content that is dangerous to users, so like malicious websites or shocking images on the internet for students, for example, or unprofessional content that can impact productivity, like social networks, for example. So by the way, there is 48 minutes on average spent per day on social networks and game during work time. So that's quite huge as well. And the last one is the bad reputation. So this is what we saw earlier. If the company is suffering from a data breach or a data leak, implying some customer information, it can have a really bad impact on the reputation of the company. So what MDM for SMBs? Because apart from all the risk linked to the presence of unmanaged devices in the workplace, the implementation of a smartphone and tablet management solution can have many advantages, provided that the MDM solution is well chosen. So first, productivity. It's for the administrator and for the employees. For the administrator, of course, it's time saving because you don't have to configure all the terminal one by one. You don't have to have them sent back if you need to change something or to change an app configuration, for example, on the device. And for the users of the smartphone, it's they're always sure to access the correct information, to have the latest version of a document or the latest version of an application. If they have a problem, they can just reach out to their administrator. The admin can take the control over the tablet and to troubleshoot it. So everyone save a precious amount of time. The second one is security. So applications and devices are protected by passwords. They can be reset remotely, they can be locked remotely, then they can be geolocated remotely to make sure that they are in the correct area, for example. So the security is really important here. And sorry, the third one is the simplicity. So the company is more flexible and more secure. So the teams can be mobile. They can work from many other places than the office, and everything is still done in a centralized and in a simple way. So that provides some peace of mind as well. What are the traps to avoid? So underestimating the importance of strong and a good mobile management. So here, you need to define a clear strategy, regardless of the size of the company or the age of the company or the number of mobile device you own. We have a lot of clients who have grown, who have moved their sales force to mobile, for example, and who really regrets having to start from scratch and do everything at once instead of going little step by step, little by little, as they go along. Not defining a clear and precise strategy. You really need to make sure that everything you need is possible with the MDM solution you choose, and to be really clear. So, do you want the mobile devices to be protected by a password or no? What type of password? If the password need to be renewed every few months or every few years? Which websites are forbidden? On which Wi-Fi networks should they connect? So you really need to make a model and define your needs beforehand. That's important. And the third one is choosing an adapted MDM solution. For example, if you're on Android devices, you don't need an MDM solution that can support Android and Apple and Chromebooks and BlackBerry, etc. You should choose a simple and custom-made MDM solution. You can ask for the pricing. You can get multiple quotes from multiple MDM devices and just compare them to make sure that there is no hidden costs, because some MDM solution will offer you an on-premise solution, which is a bit old-fashioned and involves installation and maintenance costs. So that there can be some hidden costs. Some features might be an add-on, a paid add-on, for example. So make sure that all the features that you defined previously are included in the MDM solution you are using. And finally, how to get your team to accept an MDM. Because once you have made your choice, it's important to pass on the information to your teams. You can offer some meetings to explain the situation. You can send them a company's charter that I will pass you at the end of this webinar. So if it's a company-owned device, they have to understand that it's under the control of the employer, so that you will be able to manage application, to geolocate the device if you want to activate this option, to access the visited website history, to remotely lock or wipe it, for example. So they need to understand the implication of an MDM. And if it's an employee-owned device and you are just creating a work profile, so a secure work container entirely separated from the personal part of the device, you need to explain this as well, because most of companies have seen their employees, refused the idea of installing an Android MDM solution on their devices, because mostly they are afraid that their employers will be accessing their personal data, for example, which is impossible. But you really need to communicate about that and make sure that they understand. So for that, I'm just going to provide, that's what we give to our customer, but that's just something that you can use in your company regardless. I'll just pass you on the right here a user guide. Here, you can see it on the right. So that's a corporate charter that you can distribute, to your teams. So there is a commitment page that confirms all the rights and permissions of both the employee and the company. So like that, they are. Okay, and now that's the end of it. So do you have any question? I can see that people are still downloading the PDF I sent. So questions. What are the common price for an MDM solution? So it really depends. Some MDMs are really cheap. Even some of them are free. But then you have a lot of options that you need to pay for. For example, if you need um, to put the device in kiosk mode, so if you need to really restrict the device to only a small set of application and block the access to the settings, for example, that can be a paid option. If you need to remotely take control of the device, that can be as well a paid option. So you really need to ask different quotes. And of course, MDM solution can also be quite expensive and offer a lot of training. And so it can be really from, I don't know, maybe from $5 to thousands, depending of the training that you choose and of the features that you choose. Do we need a specific training to use a mobile device management? So yes and no. It depends of the application of the tool you choose to use. Some of them has days of training, like MDM Giants, because they have so many features that they really need to train the administrator for every feature. So that can cost a lot and be quite time consuming. And some MDM solutions are quite simple and you don't need any specific training because they are very intuitive and straightforward. So it depends. So do we have any more question? I don't see any more questions. So that's all good. Thank you everyone for watching this webinar. You'll receive by email the link to replay it if you want to watch it again or to share it with some of your coworkers. Have a good day. Bye.